Welcome to the Baseball Insiders. Jesse Winker is an impactful member of a playoff contender, and Jasson Dominguez is playing baseball games in Scranton, Pennsylvania. I am Adam Weinrib, joined as always by FanSided's MLB insider Robert Murray to talk about the tightening NL wildcard race, the New York Yankees' bizarre personnel decision, Rafael Devers and the media, as well as a big old extension in San Francisco. To break it all down, here is Robert Murray. Robert, how you doing, man?
Hey, I'm doing very well. It's good to be back. We had an extended break from the Baseball Insiders, but I am back in Scottsdale, Arizona after a few days in Sheboygan Falls, Wisconsin. Feels good to be back home. Got lots to talk about. We have a late night extension that happened last night with the San Francisco Giants. A lot of stuff going on with the postseason race and everything, but I'm ready to break it all down with you. Adam, good to be back. How you doing?
Good to be back. It's, got to be. Sheboygan Falls sounds like a fun place to spend a Labor Day. I had a relaxing Labor Day weekend as well. Hope everybody else did. And we're glad to see you all again here. We'll also be taking your questions, of course, as always. So keep them coming as the show goes on. They will help guide the conversation. Join us in the Discord. You get those questions in early. If you join at the All-Star level, you get a private stream once a month. If you join at the Rumor Mill tier, you get access to Robert and I between shows. We would love to answer your questions. All-Stars also get priority responses in the comment section for these shows, and that's going to really come in handy when the winter meetings are upon us. If you aren't subscribed to the Moonshot yet either, what are you waiting for? That is our weekly baseball email newsletter from the FanSided MLB team. That includes Robert Murray. He is going to be breaking down all the biggest stories in the big leagues along with his colleagues with humor, insight, and behind-the-scenes info. He provides a good deal of that both in the Moonshot and on the Baseball Insider. So thank you for joining us today. If you like what you see and hear, the Discord and the Moonshot are good spaces for you to continue to operate. And no reason to delay the inevitable any longer. Matt Chapman has been paid. That's a Scott Boras guy in season coming to an agreement on an extension. Feels a little different, though. One of the Boras four, none of them signed long-term packs. Chapman felt like a good fit in San Francisco from the jump, and it felt like a better fit as the season actually played out. He had a representative year. He was not deterred by the ballpark and the giant gaps. He was playing well. The Giants struggle to get stars in the offseason, so when you get one, why not hold on to them? Chapman will remain a San Francisco Giant. The option years are gone. Just normal old years of contract from here on out. Did you expect a Boras guy, though, to settle in season at any point? That's still a rarity, even if the fit felt perfect.
Yeah, the fit felt perfect, and that's why I'm not necessarily surprised that this deal ended up getting done. That being said, I'd be really surprised if another Boras guy got done before the offseason hit. But Chapman felt like a bit of a different case here because if you look at it, he loves San Francisco, or he loves the Bay Area. He loves Bob Melvin, was clearly comfortable in that ballpark and in that area, and he's performed well there. And the team liked him. They wanted to bring him back. He wanted to be there. There was clear mutual interest, and they got a deal done that prevented him from hitting free agency. 6 years for $151 million, so that's not a small amount of dough at all. It's more than $25 million a year, which that's a lot. But I thought the deal made a whole lot of sense. And to me, if you ended up looking at it, you can have a couple of different takeaways. This is Boras. I think Ken Rosenthal phrased it really well. This is Scott Boras' revenge tour. This is not going to be the new norm of him starting to do in-season deals because that's just not who he is. He prefers to have players establish their values in the open market. But he is going to be out on a vengeance this offseason because that was probably the most heat Boras has gotten in his entire career. And he's trying to rebound after that because this is a crucial offseason, crucial stretch for him. And he got it going in a big way here with Chapman getting done. To me, this would signal that both Bob Melvin and Farhan Zaidi are safe because if you're going to fire an executive, you're not going to let him do a $151 million contract like a month before you fire him. Like that just doesn't happen. And Chapman is very close with Bob Melvin. And you would think that he had assurances that Melvin would be there next year. That's my own speculation. That's not me reporting anything. I want to make that clear, but you can kind of read between the lines on that one. And that to me kind of seems like it would make the most sense. And then also, like you look at it from an offseason perspective, like a guy like Alex Bregman. Now you take a third baseman off the market. It makes Bregman clearly the best available third baseman in the offseason. So it benefits another Boras client because Bregman is indeed a Boras client. So all around, it made a lot of sense for all parties involved. And I'm very curious to see what the market for Bregman looks like. But it clearly takes the Giants out of that market and maybe leaves teams like, I don't know, the Tigers, the Mariners, maybe some others as possible teams for Bregman here. So that's, again, smart deal. Got done. Everyone kind of expected it, but now it's done.
Of course, Bregman is a Boras client. Everyone's a Boras client except for Jordan Montgomery these days.
Yeah.
But that certainly does set up Bregman for a nice payday. There were some wonky rumors the other day that were like, I don't know if the teams that, Houston's rivals from the cheating scandal are going to touch Bregman. I think if that happens, if the Dodgers and Yankees stay away or what have you, I think Bregman will still get his money. I don't think he has to worry about that.
No, I totally agree. He's going to get his money. He's going to get his dues. I'm curious where exactly that money comes from, though. Does it come from the Astros? Does it come from outside with a different organization? I don't know. But one thing is very clear to me that, there's going to be plenty of suitors. There's going to be a lot of money for him, and I fully expect him to get paid. And I mean, also, like when we're done with this, I'll address the Jackson Merrill stuff because we got people just asking about him like crazy here.
Yeah, here come the questions. We definitely we'll save that for the end. We'll talk Merrill in a bit. Another huge game for him yesterday. Obviously, that's all that happens is huge games in the NL wildcard race, and the Mets are certainly making a run at things. The Atlanta Braves staving them off with some nice wins over the Colorado Rockies. The Atlanta Braves, who I think a lot of people predicted when the injuries piled up and got too overwhelming, would no longer be in the playoff picture by the end of the year. Then they put some distance between themselves and the Mets. And now here the Mets are, but of their own volition. The Mets have just won a ton of games. That's how you get close to the edge of the wild card race. The Padres and Diamondbacks are technically within stalking distance as well, but New York's absurd pitching staff. It's not Kodai Senga. It's not the guys you were expecting. It's not Justin Verlander and Max Scherzer who are still getting paid by the Mets, I believe. But it's Sean Manaea, David Peterson, Luis Severino. They're doing more than enough to support the MVP of the National League. Yeah, I said it, Francisco Lindor. What do you make of this tightening race and the Mets' chances? And why wouldn't a guy like Juan Soto want to go to a team like the Mets this offseason?
As far as the Mets go right now, and especially Juan Soto. Soto will have 500 or 600 million reasons to go to the New York Mets because you got to imagine they're going to be one of the most aggressive bidders involved in the Soto sweepstakes. And if Steve Cohen wants somebody, he's clearly shown that he can outbid the field. And Soto is a generational talent. There are not many players who are like him, and I firmly expect the Mets, the Yankees, and some of these other teams to be firmly involved in the bidding there. But as far as let's stay focused on this season for now. The Mets, they started off. It was a little rough. I mean, I feel like we can confidently say that, but they look like a team that could be pretty dangerous come the postseason. Like they have an MVP caliber player in Francisco Lindor. They have others on offense, Jesse Winker especially. I'll be eating crow here in a little bit. I just want to I'll give a tease for what we have coming here in a little bit. But their pitching staff has really kind of carried the team here, and it's put them in a position where they're within striking distance of the Braves. I can easily see them overtaking the Braves and advancing to the postseason with one of those wild card spots. And maybe they make noise because pitching obviously always plays in the postseason. They got some good defenders. They got some pieces on offense, especially an MVP guy in Lindor. And we even I've been around David Stearns for a few years of his tenure in Milwaukee, and he's usually pretty reserved with what he says. So his comments about Lindor were really interesting to me. And obviously his MVP case and everything. And I think the Mets are a really dangerous team. I expect at this point that they're probably going to end up passing the Braves, who are just battered and bruised. And it's kind of sad because they have a lot of high expectations in Atlanta this season, and rightfully so. But the injuries have just derailed their season, and now the Mets are on the verge of passing them. And not great for Atlanta. But as far as the Mets go, this is about as good of a first year as they could have hoped for with David Stearns and Carlos Mendoza, who I'm a huge fan of, by the way.
September 24th through 26th, Mets at Atlanta. That is the final showdown of the year between the two teams. The Braves schedule is a little light. It's got some eliminated teams in there, but it also does have 3 with the Dodgers and 3 with the Kansas City Royals at the very end of the season. There's some places they can be tripped up amidst the Marlins and Nats and eliminated Reds and Jays. Don't rule out the Nats either. We've seen what Dylan Cruz and James Wood can do together. I see my fellow self-loathing Yankee fans in the comments. We sure have seen what those people can do. They beat the bejesus out of the Yankees for 2 games on the road. So I've got my eyes on the NL East race for sure. And I'm just going to victory lap Jesse Winker, who I noted before the deadline. I tried to telegraph him to a bunch of teams. I think at one point I tried to sell a Reds reunion. Look, did I go back through old episodes of the Baseball Insiders to try to find my exact quote last night? Yes, I did. I did do that. I didn't find it, but I did say in the deadline episode that I made my thoughts really clear about a week ago. So if anyone has that, you'd be doing me a service. But I said that a guy like Winker is the kind of guy who swings titles and swings playoff races. Like, not an exceptional hitter, not a superstar, not front and center, but finding the right role player and right supplementary pieces, what the trade deadline is all about. And at the end of every year, we look up and say, what Tommy Pham last year in Arizona, man, how did that team get their hands on that middling player like Winker, who's got peaks and valleys in his career and channeled that intensity at the right time to contribute to a playoff run? So megastar, MVP? No. Biggest addition to the trade deadline? No. But grand slam yesterday helped cement a Mets sweep of the Red Sox, and he is having an outsized impact on the playoff race for sure.
Yeah, I remember when this trade was made. You praised it. You said it was a good deal. It was flying under the radar, and meanwhile, I was on the record and saying I didn't necessarily see the logic and thought he was a candidate for regression after the first half of the year. I just had a feeling based off of his previous years with the Mariners, Brewers, and some others there. But I've been proven wrong, and I will be eating some crow right now. Adam Weinrib, I tip my cap. Good job to you. He was he was an under-the-radar addition with the Nationals in the offseason. Acquired the Mets acquired him at the deadline, and since then he has posted an 8.11 OPS in 30 games. He has been a key part of this Mets team. As you said, a grand slam yesterday to seal a victory. It was a very under-the-radar addition, not necessarily the big splashy move. I mean, if it was a couple years ago, then that would have been a big splashy move. But his stock was down. The Nationals took a chance on him. The Mets took advantage, and he's been just as good with the Mets as he was in Washington. So good job by David Stearns in that front office for identifying that. And, I'm eating crow right now. So, Adam, I tip my cap. Good job. I was wrong.
Winker this year, the Diamondbacks last year. Every year I get exactly one prediction correct. So shout out to me. Just one. Only one, though. And as Justin noted, Braves and Dodgers play 4 times, not just 3 games. Baseball Insider's corrections. I'm a man of my word. I would never do a whole episode and move on from something that pedantic. I would definitely take time on the air to correct it. So there we go.
Way to go, Adam. Although I will also add this. Bowman, you is boss. Mm-hmm. Why are you typing in all caps? Are you shouting?
Are you okay? If you need help, let us know. That's what we're here for. You can join the Discord. You'll have easier access to us. You'll be able to let us know if you need us to send somebody to help you out of a jam or just unstick your caps lock button. Either way, much appreciated. And thank you for the comments, as always. Hey, self-loathing Yankee fans, here's where you check in. Jasson Dominguez not in the major leagues. It's past September 1st. Check your watches. It's September 5th. Actually, that's 4 days past September 1st. Where were you when September 1st came and went? You woke up and realized, oh, he's not coming. You thought you were getting Jasson Dominguez Day and then didn't show up on the roster. Not eligible for the PPI draft pick. He spent 60 games this year on the Major League IL, so if he wins Rookie of the Year next year, doesn't get the Yankees a draft pick. Dispelling myths right there. Just kind of seems like a situation where they just prefer Alex Verdugo. I'm not sure who they is. The Yankees, Aaron Judge, Cashman, Boone. He's unlucky. That's what we're being told. I mean, he's got 12 games of service time before he hits that threshold, too. It's got to be 45 days on the active roster. He's at 32. They called him up for 1 game last month in the Little League Classic. So if you care that much about service time, you're willing to use him for one game and bat him in the middle of the order against Tarek Skubal. This is a team that is spiraling and has lost their grip in the AL East, and they have a wild card spot right now, and that's great for them, and I guess that's all they want. But this is pretty hideous. And not calling up Dominguez right now means your best roster is not on the field. And Clay Holmes being not the closer and just being a creative late inning option is a step forward. But guess what? They don't have the horses in the bullpen to make creative decisions because they didn't get anybody at the deadline because Mark Leiter Jr. is a disaster who's been worth negative B-WAR this year, and Enyel De Los Santos is on the Chicago freaking White Sox. So there you go, self-loathing Yankee fans. Robert Wise and Jasson Dominguez in the major leagues, and bag on the Yankees trade deadline as well if you'd like, which I know you would like to.
No, I absolutely would like to bag on their trade deadline because in the moment, like getting Jazz Chisholm, like that was a good move, and immediately there was payoff. But he got hurt, and I mean, there's nothing you can really do about that. But as far as the rest of their trade deadline goes, we were adamant before the deadline and even immediately after the deadline that they needed to do more in the bullpen. They needed to end up adding more reinforcements, and they failed to do that. And if we could see that, it's kind of hard to believe that the Yankees front office overall didn't see it. Maybe one thing we can attribute to that is the high asking prices. We obviously also saw the report about them and Jack Flaherty from Ken Rosenthal. So, I mean, maybe some of this is totally not out of their control, but this is the 1 year they had guaranteed with Juan Soto. After he reaches free agency, there's no guarantees because the market is the market, and we don't know exactly how much he's going to end up getting or if he's going to be priced out of their range. But like they should have done more. They should have absolutely done more. Try to go all in with Juan Soto, and instead their bullpen is kind of in shambles. They don't really have the horses, as you said, and they're a team with holes here, and it's frustrating because it could have been a lot more. What was the other? Oh, yeah, also the Jasson Dominguez thing.
The main guy who could save your lives right now, but you got a 500 OPS guy hanging out in left field every day.
I'll tell you, I have had more baseball people reach out to me about this than I can recall for most other things here. It's really puzzling that they're choosing to go with Alex Verdugo and Trent Grisham when they have Jasson Dominguez, who is one of the most talented young players in baseball, or just prospects in baseball. I mean, they had a chance. Like they can easily do that, call him up, but yet they're choosing not to. I don't get it. Not exactly sure what their reasoning is, but I give the Yankees beat a whole lot of credit because they're not pulling punches at all.
Yes.
Like they're ripping the Yankees for this. And to us, it seems like a no-brainer. Call them up because you need some sort of spark. And it's clear that Dominguez can be that guy for them.
Yeah, I would 100% agree with giving credit to the beat. And some people still are like, why are you asking Aaron Boone every day why he should be fired? And it's like, that's not what a beat writer does. But they are all over this Dominguez thing. And if he comes up with 12 games left in the season and it is about service time and we just suddenly see him as soon as those restraints are off, then I'm going to eat a fried shoelace because it's insane. And Clay Holmes is a huge issue. And the deadline is a huge issue. And like the comment section is saying, urgency is a huge issue. They're like, yeah, you know, they know they're probably going to trip into a playoff spot, and they know that teams get hot all the time. And hey, maybe that's us. But comment section said no urgency since 2018. I'd say 2019 they showed a lot of urgency, and since that year, nothing has been the same. All the additions they made at the margins that year worked. Mike Tauchman, Gio Urshela, Mike Ford. They kept hitting the right button. They had team chemistry. They signed Garrett Cole, add Garrett Cole to that team, and somehow it all goes wrong from there. The pandemic didn't help. When they came back, they weren't quite the same. They couldn't hit. They do the Davey Garcia, Zach Britton thing that angered the whole locker room, and that's where it all starts. They don't have the urgency to develop closers. They think that if you're good in the 7th, you'll be good in the 9th. It's true sometimes. It's not always true. They attribute a lot of their lack of success to bad luck, and underlying metrics can be very fun thing to lean on if you don't want to get fired and you want to say, well, this should have happened, but it didn't, and that's why you should keep me in my current position. But yeah, I would agree with all the people saying no urgency. I would agree that leaving Jasson Dominguez in the minor. Brian Hoke said it. He literally tweeted, The Yankees are a championship caliber operation, but they don't have their best 28 players, active players, on the big league roster right now. And that's really the beginning and end. You could have just started this conversation with that and ended it there. They just don't. That's a lack of urgency.
No, it's a definite lack of urgency. And if I was a Yankees fan, I'd be really frustrated because you have.
I'm glad I'm not. Luckily, I'm not a Yankees fan. It'd be crazy if I was.
Oh God. Well, yeah, you're the only team you root for in sports is the Philadelphia Eagles. We all know this.
Yeah, go Birds.
See, he knows. We're gonna have to clip that at the end because I want to make sure I get that.
Probably gonna clip. You're gonna tell me you clipped the Jesse Winker thing, and then you're gonna send it to me. It's just gonna be me saying "Go Birds."
Dude, that's legit. Exactly what I was gonna end up doing. You stole my plan right in front of the audience here, which is how could you do that to me? Andrew, we will talk about Jackson Merrill. Don't worry.
Hold your horses.
Relax. We're but the lack of urgency here from the Yankees because you have one guaranteed season of Aaron Judge and Juan Soto. I'm stressing this multiple times because this is a really important point. You have both of those guys under contract for this year, and you don't go all in, and it's just. If it blows up in their face, that's just on them, and there's no one else to blame besides Brian Cashman. That's point blank. It's not an Aaron Boone thing because he's not the guy that makes these kind of decisions at the deadline. It's Brian Cashman. So if you direct your anger at anybody, direct it at Cashman.
Yeah, and if you want to make Mark Leiter Jr. the third bullpen arm you acquire, you want to take a chance on the swing and miss. I get it, and it hasn't worked, and it never seems to work these past several years, but AJ Puck, Michael Kopech, Jason Adam, the comments we're talking about Pete Fairbanks, I know that he didn't move and he would have been a great fit, but he didn't go anywhere. Tanner Scott, like if you didn't want to pay for Tanner Scott, there were still plenty of options on the table. You would have had to pay a top prospect chip, but the Padres got Adam for Lesko at the center of the package, and that's a guy whose command has deserted him. Like, you want to tell me you can't trade Chase Hampton for Jason Adam? And it's not similar, like a regressing top pitching prospect. Like, the Yankees could have found a way to make that work, but Brian Cashman didn't want to pay the price for any of those guys. They got Mark Leiter Jr., and that's it.
Yeah, and also one last thing I want to say about this is I see a comment here from Justin. He said, I thought Fairbanks was going to the Yankees. That was never close. Like, the Rays never really – it was never like the Rays signaled to teams that they did not want to move Pete Fairbanks. A deal with the Yankees or any other team was never close. Any report that suggested otherwise was wrong. The Rays valued Fairbanks a lot. They want to keep him. They kept him. And it's just I don't think he was ever going to the Yankees at the deadline. I don't think that was ever a real scenario here.
No, but it would have been nice because then they wouldn't suck so bad. Well, that was cathartic. That felt good. Shout out to all the Yankee fans in the comment section. You can find me on twitter.com, not calling it X, after the podcast. I'm happy to talk more. Although I will say, I'm on record about this. Pet peeve. If I don't know you and you just come to me when the Yankees do something bad and you're like, man, that was bad, that annoys me a little bit. I can't lie.
That was bad. Yeah, Yankees bad.
What am I going to say to you? Like, yeah, that was really bad. I feel bad. Like, that's, just not my favorite thing. So engage. Let's come into the Discord. You'll see plenty of unhinged Yankees behavior, I promise you. And I want to be fair to the Yankee fans who take a lot of abuse today. Let's give the Red Sox fans a little bit of a pain point as well. I'm going to end it and make myself feel good. Rafael Devers, the Red Sox just got swept. Citi Field, aforementioned 3-gamer. He did not speak to the media on Tuesday after telling them to wait for about an hour, and then it turned out he actually just left. His presence was requested. He didn't come down and speak, and they found out after about an hour of waiting that he was gone. Seeing a lot of really unpleasant discourse on Twitter that's like, who care? We don't care who speaks to the media and who doesn't. Like, I'm sorry you guys missed your dinner reservations. Eye roll, first of all, but it's also just, it's the principle of the thing, right? If he is the face of the franchise, which he is, you should have to take accountability. If someone wants to speak to you, you can simply decline, and then that'll be a minor story, but it won't be as large a story as telling people you'll come down and then you never come down. This isn't about, poor media members. It kind of matters. Now, he's obviously battling a shoulder injury. The team is slumping. He's probably going to face questions about whether or not he's going to be shut down. He's going through a lot, but Chris Cotillo accused him yesterday in a conversation of, quote, not buying into being the face of the franchise. So obviously a strong accusation. I want to hear your thoughts and perspective on if you were in that situation where somebody, you've requested their presence, they tell you they're coming, they don't, you've waited an hour. I mean, is that standard? How often do you see something like that? And what are your thoughts on the accusation at large?
Yeah, I would say for me, like being in a locker room, like I've waited for players before and they've just not shown up. Like that happens. That's happened before. It'll happen again. Like that is just the reality. I don't know if he ended up telling, or I don't know if he ended up telling the media folks that he was going to be coming and then just didn't show up. If that was the case, that'd be a really tough look. But it is a strong accusation by Chris Cotillo, because saying that those are pretty strong words. But that being said, like it's not baseless, because if you end up looking at what Alex Cora said, and this is an exact quote, he has been very vocal about it. He does not like to be called the face of the franchise. That is a pretty damning statement. And when you sign a guy for $313.5 million, you expect that guy to want to be the face of the franchise. You expect him to be the face of the franchise. And when the team is struggling and things are not going well, you expect him to speak to the media and own up to the struggles, to try to be the voice of calm, the voice of reason, to try to get the public and the fan base to not freak out. And him not speaking is continue to allow that fan base to kind of worry a little bit. And it's strange to me that he does not want to be the face of the franchise. I mean, I don't get it necessarily. I know there's a lot of pressure that comes with that, especially the Red Sox, but when you're making $313.5 million, like you should be more than okay with being the face of the franchise. But what do I know? But to me, it's a little strange. And I think Chris Cotillo is onto something, especially after Cora's comments.
Yeah, and you can trust Cotillo boots on the ground there. Hey, we got a couple of minutes left. Should we talk about Jackson Merrill? I don't know. Does anybody want to hear about Jackson Merrill? Like,
I don't think so.
Has anybody requested that we talk about him? I don't know. I read yesterday that he flew out in the 9th inning of a tie game. Ultimately, the Padres did win, and ultimately he did hit a 3-run home run when they were down 5-0 to help spur that comeback. But he flew out in the 9th inning of a tied game, and it was the first time in 6 ABs in the 9th inning or later of a tied game or lead where he didn't homer. So crazy. Everyone wants to know about when he might be getting extended, what the possibility is for an extension. That's a player you want to lock up, because if you don't, it gets costlier by the clutch home run. What say you with regard to Jackson Merrill's future?
If you've watched previous shows, you'll know that I think Merrill will eventually get extended, but it will just not be during the season. Those things just do not happen during the season unless you're Matt Chapman or some of these other rare candidates. But I do not expect Merrill to get extended during the season. The offseason, I expect there to at least be some sort of conversations between the Padres and Merrill's camp. And with each day, the price for Merrill, who is the increasingly likely favorite to win the National League Rookie of the Year, is going up. And if you look at, like, the one number that I threw out on a previous show was Corbin Carroll, who ended up getting 8 years for $111 million. At this point, I feel like it's pretty safe to expect that Merrill is in position to get more. And how much more, I don't necessarily know what that could possibly look like, but some comps that I think could make some sense. You look at, I mean, not a great name, but Wander Franco, who got 11 for 182. You could also look at a guy like Julio Rodriguez, who ended up getting 12 years for $210 million. The highest, and I would not expect this. I don't expect Merrill to come close to this, but I'm just throwing it out there because, I think at this point with how he's performing, if they wait a little bit longer, it could get to this point, is a guy like Bobby Witt Jr., who got 11 years for $288.8 million, which last time I checked, that's a lot. So I don't necessarily know on what spectrum of the range that number is going to fall into, but with each day, his price is going up and up and up. And the Padres, they should have extended Merrill in the offseason. They waited. Their price has gone significantly up, and it's going to be a lot. But thankfully, AJ Preller, he likes to spend money, but we'll see exactly how much the new ownership or the new owner here is willing to spend to get it done.
Keep your eyes peeled in the offseason. Good word of advice. And hey, stay tuned to Baseball Insiders in the offseason because we're psyched for the offseason. We love October baseball. We love the stretch run. But yeah, starting when the action really heats up in the playoffs, right into the offseason, the early portion, into the winter meetings, into just a hell of a sprint into January and February. We're excited to talk about it all. We hope you join us. Join us in the Discord. Sign up as either a Rumor Mill member or an All-Star member. Hit us with your questions in between shows. Come to the comment section. Don't spam it, but definitely come to the comment section. Whether you're a self-loathing Yankee fan or a normal fan of another team who loathes the Yankees, because that's kind of just what people do, you are welcome here. I'm Adam Weinrib, and Robert Murray is Robert Murray. He's Fansiders MLB Insider, and he knows what's up. But he doesn't know why Jasson Dominguez is not playing Major League Baseball right now. Though he knows who to blame. You know whose fault it is.
I don't know. The only people who know exactly why he's not up, I think, are Brian Cashman and Aaron Boone, which is crazy. I don't understand it, but I don't think anybody else does. So it makes me feel slightly better. But we appreciate everyone who tuned in. It was a very active comment section. Braden, you are exactly right. Go Birds, indeed. And beat the Packers tomorrow. That'd be pretty huge for the program. And we'll see everybody back here on Monday. Won't we, Adam?
We will be right back here on Monday. Eagles down in Sao Paulo, Brazil on a Friday. Extremely normal way to start an NFL season. We will see everybody Monday. We'll wrap it up and hopefully talk about some more action. Until then, take care, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.